Hello guys, how are you? And welcome back again to just another ordinary Kenyan. And today I'm going to discuss about one of the most contentious topic I think in this channel so far. And I'm going to talk about the reason why, in my opinion, you should never buy Safaricom shares. Okay, so I know what you have been thinking. Just another ordinary Kenyan. Why are you telling us not to buy Safaricom shares when everybody out there is claiming that they do own a piece of Safaricom or that they own Safaricom shares? Hear me out. In the last video that I did, which you can check out on this channel, I did break down the dividends payment among different companies, and as it came out, Safaricom do pay about 1 shillings 20 cents per share. But companies that I did discuss related to the banks, maybe banking sector, and also like the tea sector, really do pay well, and especially the tobacco sector. If you are someone who is not concerned about the term return on investment, then I think it's highly difficult to justify why you are investing in the first place. Safaricom actually is one of the most stable and the most profitable company in East Africa. I don't deny that. But it's not always a justification that the profit of a company translates to the highest return on investment for an investor, or it doesn't mean that such a stock is the right one for you. Imagine that Safaricom earns about 40 billion, right? It's the highest of all the profits, like of all the companies that we discussed. But one thing that people always doesn't take into account is the number of shares that the company have out there, right? Because this 40 billion has to be divided among about 40 billion shares, leading to about 1 shillings per share. When companies like Standard Chartered Bank and even like the companies in Kericho tea market do pay over 30 or even 40, tobacco 70 shillings per share. So actually, it does not matter what you are doing. It doesn't matter whether you want to invest or not. But what matters is, are you investing in the place that will give you, on the right share that will give you the highest return on investment per unit shillings you are trying to invest? And Safaricom, I don't think, is the best way to go. Safaricom actually has a strong fundamentals compared to any other company based on the services and their expansion in Ethiopia. But at the moment, it's not actually the right share for you. Else, I will actually say that. But this suggestion does not apply to everybody out there who is trying maybe not to look at the return on investment, but trying to put their money where like there's a little bit of stability. Honestly, Safaricom can be a good investment to someone who wants to diversify their portfolio and not interested on how much are they going to earn per unit time. Someone like will claim as a means of justifying investment in Safaricom is market volatility and liquidity like of the shares. And I will agree with you that when it comes to liquidity, like how fast you can sell your share when you want to sell it, and like stability of the share price, then Safaricom is the key in Nairobi Stock Exchange market. But it's not always like everybody is trying to look at the stability. Maybe some people are trying to look at the return on investment. How much can I earn if I put this amount of money at this particular stock? And I think like most people like have been diluted. Like everybody is talking about their own Safaricom shares, and it's almost looked like Safaricom shares is the only way to invest in the country. But I want to demystify this and say that no, actually like it's not for everybody. It's only for people who are trying to put their money in a stable place. But for someone who is trying to earn the absolute highest amount of money per unit investment, I think you just need to look at most of the stocks that I did mention in the last video. Some of them paying about $70, 70 shillings per share, 30 shillings per share, which is highly like more than the Safaricom. Okay guys, like this was a short video and I wanted just to discuss this topic because I think there's a little bit of misconception on like people talking about Safaricom is the highest return investment or something like that. But until next time, bye.